Hi everyone, Patricia Worby Alchemy Therapies here, and just another in my ongoing series on coronavirus and what you can do to stay healthy. And I just wanted to do a very quick one today on the use of hand gels and sanitizers, because that's not something I've actually talked about before, but we see them a lot now in public places, in supermarkets and shops as they're beginning to reopen here in the UK. Now, this obviously is an issue for those of us who understand a more holistic view of the body and how important our microbiome, in other words, the microbes that live in and on you, are. Now, this is a balance between obviously cleansing your hands when touching things that other people have touched and keeping yourself in balance internally. And the problem with a lot of hand sanitizers, certainly in the past, they contained Tricholorsan, which is a very toxic chemical, which actually decimates your microbiome. If you then use it and then happen to touch your mouth and it goes inside, it kills an awful lot of the bacteria and the viruses that naturally live in you. And it is all about ecosystem balance. As without, so within. We are an ecosystem. So if we go around indiscriminately killing things like we have done for 50 or 60 years with antibiotics, for instance, people who have antibiotics, sometimes it's essential if you've got an acute issue, of course, but being given those for chronic conditions like thrush, sore throats, glue ear, and so on, just perpetuates the problem, because the problem is the imbalance in your gut microbiome, in your flora, in the bugs that live in you. And just indiscriminately killing 90% of them means that the more virulent, pathogenic or disease-causing ones take over. And this is what we're seeing in hospitals. Before coronavirus, we did have a problem with resistant bacteria and the growth of these terrible diseases that antibiotics can't touch. So we're inadvertently changing our flora. And when we do that, we're not just changing our own, we're changing the sort of ecology of that species and pushing them towards mutating faster into resistant forms. And so we are making resistance happen. And hand gels and sanitizers add to that issue, as do antibacterial hand wipes and chopping boards and utensils. And you really need to avoid them and just wash them in hot soapy water. Do that with your hands, do that with your utensils. Don't rely on these antibacterial products thinking that they make you cleaner. They actually make you more unbalanced and more likely to get sick. And even though Tricholorsan has been banned now, some of the products in hand sanitizers, if it's an alcohol-based one, it's the alcohol that does the killing. But then they have to have all sorts of things to make them gel-like. They have to have perfumes, they have to have emollients. And these actually can cause terrific problems if you've got sensitive skin as well. But the main issue is the indiscriminate killing of what is a natural balance in your body. And actually, in order to prevent getting diseases like coronavirus or any kind of imbalance in your system, any viruses or bacterial disease, you really need to strengthen the terrain, as they call it in holistic medicine. The terrain is everything. Where the soil is the equivalent for plants. If you've got a sick plant with leaves that are looking terrible, it's not the leaves that have the problem, it's the soil. And we're the same, and our soil is our gut, and it's the flora in our gut. And it's actually eating fermented foods. It's having foods that don't promote inflammation. So fast foods, highly processed foods, too many carbohydrates, not enough high quality, slow release carbohydrates. These are all really important things that you can change in your diet, and eating more vegetables of a variety of colors. Some supplementation, I've talked about supplementation already and why it's important for some people. Probably the majority need to supplement vitamin D, for instance, particularly if you have darker colored skin. And, if you've got a leaky gut, which so many people have, and, for years, doctors were saying that's a nonsense and it doesn't exist. And now they've come around to realize it does. And it means you're not absorbing half of the things that you're taking in. And so in order to reverse a leaky gut, you actually have to heal. And often you have to do that with specific foods and specific supplements to try and close the junctions or the spaces between the cells in your gut, because that's what leaky gut means. You've got the cells and then they open up, and then undigested food products can go from the gut into the bloodstream, and then you get autoimmune diseases. So we're pretty unhealthy as a Western nation. The UK have so far the worst death rate per head of population in the world, which I know our government said we'd be well beating, but I don't think that's what they were thinking about. And it could be because of the way we eat. It could be the way, you know, intensive agriculture has promoted these high carbohydrate, low nutrient density foods that we all gobble away on, and actually make us ill. So food for thought there. If you have to use hand gel, do so, but if you have the option of washing your hands, wash your hands. It's a much better option. And stay safe. Okay, bye for now. Oh, subscribe.